What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is obviously Wednesday, which means a new summit is now live in Motorfest. For this week, we have the Donk Custom giving us the American Drift Smoke, which, you know what, I have to admit it does actually look kind of dope. I do like the fact that you can see the stars in it, so this one I would actually say is a pretty cool looking smoke. We also have the Ford Mustang GT, which is a gold edition, or at least you could say in gold. You would get the Mustang GT. Is it good? Well, it's probably not going to be the best drag car. Plus, you'll probably get like 100 to 300 grand for that vehicle, which I would say is decent, I guess. Then we're also going to have some dragster parts in silver, and then for some odd reason, I don't know why they give us 5,000 spare parts in bronze. How about this? Maybe make that $300,000 or like 150,000 would be way better than 5,000 spare parts, bro. Like that is legit nothing. Maybe even give us like 20,000, but 5,000? Really, bruh? Besides that, though, jumping into this summit, I would say this summit is probably going to be one of the easier, or at least you could say a simple one, with many of the events being incredibly short. We also have an escape, we have a speed trap, and an aerobatics, and I would say many of the events are pretty interesting. We actually have two dragster events on the only two drag events in the entire game. Ha! That's so funny. And then we also have one of the Tier 1 races over here, which is actually two of them. And then we also have a Tier 2 race and another Tier 1. So it's going to be fairly mixed up with a few events in there. That at least is going to make it fairly interesting. Now for the escape, guys, I did end up using the lovely Lamborghini Countach. Is it the best choice? No, you're probably going to notice what the best choice is. Do I have to give you a hint on the best car to use? I would say probably not. Before this, though, I got around 3,784 yards in the Countach. I did not use a plane or nothing. Sure, you can probably get more speed in a plane and then switch to a hypercar. I actually ended up using the Countach, basically driving down the road a bit after spawning in, turning around, hitting the objective, going as fast as I can. Got 156,000 points, so I would say, guys, around 3,500 to around 3,800 is probably going to get you around the maxed out score on the actual skill. After that, though, we're going to have a speed trap for this one. I would probably say something like any of the drag cars isn't a terrible option. For me, I did actually use the C7 Stingray. Once again, you're probably going to notice a trend of which drag car to use. Looking at the lovely leaderboard here. Luckily, I found somebody else using the C7, which is great. I was going to use the Dodge Viper, but I was like, you know what, bruh? Let's use this Stingray. Turns out it did pretty dang good. Is 365 miles an hour the best? No, but it's definitely not going to be the worst either. A big tip, guys, is drive past the objective on this one. Turn around by that main turn. Also, watch out for the AI. They are the biggest issue. But all you will then have to do is get the car into 5th gear. Once you get on the straightaway, hit that nitrous, and you're pretty much good to go. And then for the final skill, though, is going to be an aerobatic. So for this one, I did end up using the Slick Aircraft Slick 360 HP. You could probably use something like the P-51, which is obviously the fastest plane in the game. Funny thing is, though, guys, all you need is a score breaker. You can run any plane of your choice on this. You will easily get a maxed out score if you get green on all of them, which I would say for this one is fairly simple. So now moving over to the events. So the first one here, which is going to be the Big Wheels, Big Block, and the Oahu Versus. Both of these are actually going to be the type of short drag events where you start off, you have to get a perfect start. You will basically have to hit the gas when the things pop up on the screen. That way you can actually get 3 full things of nitrous, and trust me, you will definitely want it. Before these two events, though, I would say they're going to be fairly simple, around 40 to 50 seconds to complete them. And the biggest thing, guys, is making sure you use your nitrous a bit more often and keeping that speed up as much as you possibly can. Overall, I had a good time on these events, and luckily, they are extremely short. For the other event, though, is going to be the Big Clash in the Street Tier 1 category. For this one, you will have to use a car in the USA category. For me, guys, I use the Ford Focus RS. But don't worry, though, I did not use the Ford Focus RS everybody else is using. No, I actually decided to run the older one, which, don't get me wrong, is not the better option. The newer RS is actually going to be one of the best cars in the Tier 1 category for USA, which is kind of odd, but then again makes a bit of sense because it's quick, it handles good, and obviously it's faster than most of the muscle cars there. But I would say though, trying out the newer RS is definitely the better option. I did actually want to use the old RS to make this a bit more interesting and to really mix up the summits a bit, because honestly, using a meta car is kind of old to me at this point. And then for the other two events, though, are going to be Dragster events. For the first one, guys, I did end up using the Dodge Viper SRT10. Love this thing. It's easily going to be one of my favorites. Is it the best drag car? Well, to be honest, I would say no on that, but it's definitely not the worst either. Keep in mind, every single drag car in this game does around 430 miles an hour with a chemist set, so you can basically run any of them. For the other one, though, is going to be the Dodge Challenger SRT8. Haven't really ran this car that much, but I wouldn't say it's awful, even though this second drag event with the Challenger is a lot shorter than the airport Speedway. Now, there is one more thing I did want to add to this, though, guys, that I would definitely recommend having on for the Dragster events. So head over to your driver here and then head over to the Legend Points, and then from there head over to your Gameplay tab all the way on the right. Go all the way down, guys, until you see a thing called Cluster. This is going to increase your gear shifting boost by around 20% having all the points on it. I would definitely recommend having this active because it does make a big difference when getting a perfect gear shift on these events. This I would definitely recommend having on, at least for these two events. And then for the final event here in the summit is going to be the Ultimate Face-Off. You will have to use the Ford Mustang Boss 429 Lime Edition. This event though, guys, is probably going to fool a lot of people because even a first run on this for when I did it, I was like, wait a second, I can cut that, I can cut this. And it turns out, guys, this race is full of cuts you can actually use in it to make this go a lot faster than taking the routes that it does show you. So I would definitely recommend keeping an eye out on this event, guys, especially on the corners that you can cut, definitely reducing your time by a lot, which of course is going to give you a lot more points on it. Overall though, I would say this summit was pretty fun. Like, I did have a good time on it for the most part, even though I would say it was probably one of the quickest summits. In around 45 minutes I did the entire thing, pretty casually going after decent scores on each one of the events, and of course the skills. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Here's the entire summit.